Hello and welcome to Awakening the Blog. I'm right now at Phillip Park in Safety Harbor with this beautiful scenery behind me and around me. And I think this is the perfect place to share an amazing experience I lived. If I can remember, it was in 1990 when I had this possibility of going to Germany to booking a clinic in the south of Germany in the Bodensee. I was there to do a fasting. I don't remember exactly how it all came about. I think I was supposed to go visit a friend who was living in Vienna those days. And when I landed in Vienna to see my friend, I had this amazing pool that was telling me to go to this place. I had been there before, and I had this amazing pool that was telling me to go there. So I called in and they allowed me to go. They had space for me to go do a fasting. So I went there and spent 2 weeks in this amazing place by Lake Constance in Bodensee in the southern part of Germany. When I was there, my doctor, homeopathic doctor, suggested that I did what they call Atemtherapie, which is the breathing therapy, with this gentleman who specialized in doing that. Because I had told my doctor that I had had very strange experiences, like out-of-body experiences before in my life, and I actually didn't know what to do with that and what they meant. So he said, "Oh, I think you should do this breathing therapy." So I went to the therapy with Bernd, and the first session, he told me, he listened to my experiences, because I thought that there was a relation between my unusual out-of-body experiences and the therapy, because that the doctor suggested I should do that, should talk with him about these things. And he just listened to me carefully, and he said, "Oh, I've had something like that happen when I tried some weird things here and there." And so to myself, I said, "Well, I'm wondering if he really understands what I'm talking about." And so he told me the first session that he was gonna be doing some hands-on, putting his hands all over my body, and that sometimes I was gonna feel strange and unusual because of where he's gonna put his hands on. And I go in myself, I was thinking, "Oh my God, where is this guy gonna touch me?" So for the second session, I went with a few layers of clothes. I had the excuse that it was getting a little cold, so I had my leggings, I had my bathing suit, I have my sweatpants and my t-shirt and something else. I was fully protected. So he saw me, he just smiled, and then he started the therapy. I had no idea what this breathing therapy was. I thought it was something to do with breathing. So he just put his hands on, and stayed there for a while. And at the end of the session, I was hoping to get a diagnosis of something, that he would tell me what's wrong with me. So we finished the session, and I said, "So what's going on with me?" And he says, "Oh, we'll talk about it next session." I go, "Okay." By the next session, I had developed this little sciatic nerve pain, and that was hurting my lower back and my walking, because I was walking a lot while I stayed over there. And so I went in. I didn't say anything to him. And the sessions took normally 1 hour. He took this time 2 hours with me. And I don't know what magic he did on me. By the end of the session, my pain had gone away. And just by putting his hands on me, just by doing hands-on, amazing. I thought, this is really, really strange. It was my first contact with hands-on healing. And then I said to myself, well, who is this guy? What is he doing to me? Where's the breathing therapy in all this thing? He's just putting his hands on me and he's not making me breathe or doing anything. So, well, I didn't know how that worked. And then I had one last session before I left the place. And by that time, I was a little more confident of what he was doing. So I took a couple layers of clothes out and I was, with my regular leggings and my t-shirt, felt okay. And then what he did was something extraordinary. He made me lay on my belly and he put his hands on my back. And he started pressing and letting go, pressing and letting go. And what he was doing, he was observing what I was doing with my breathing. And he told me, you don't always have to face things as they come. Sometimes it's good to retreat. Sometimes it's good to just don't face it and go away for a little bit. I had no idea what he was telling me that, but I said, oh, okay, thank you. Then he started describing me like no one in this life has ever done. I mean, he had gone so inside of me by those 3 sessions earlier that it was as if he knew me completely. And it was very, very strange. I was feeling blushed because, it's like, oh my God, I didn't need so many layers of clothes. He was going to look inside anyway. And then he just put his hand on my lower back. And he held it for the rest of the time. And he just asked me to breathe in normally. But then something strange really happened. Well, I don't know if this is strange or no. It might be strange for many people. And I could say it's strange because it hasn't happened to me anymore again. But as he held his hand in my back, and I was breathing and relaxing, suddenly I lost sense of my own body. And there was no difference between his hand and my body. We fused, we merged. But the most interesting thing of this was that I was able to see inside of him, and I was able to do the things that he would verbally tell me to do ahead of time, as if when he was thinking about it before saying, I already connected to what he was saying and I just simply did it. And what he was asking me was that I started going up through his arm and all the way into the heart. It was like to travel with my attention through his arm to the heart. By then, I had no sense of body. My physical body was not, it felt like it was not there anymore. I suddenly became just energy. And his hand was just energy. And his hand and my body were one. And the most amazing thing was the effects of this. I mean, we can say that we've been touched in our hearts by people's gestures and people do for us, and that we feel touched in our hearts and we feel emotional. But this was not touching the heart, this was touching the soul. And it was so amazing to feel that we were one, that there was no boundaries of physical, there were no physical boundaries, there was no physical, that's it. We were both pure energy and we were one. I had a sense that I knew him very profoundly, though I cannot say what color he likes or what his favorite food, but that we connected at a soul level with such gentleness, that this was the experience that changed my life. Up until 1990, I was working on what I had studied in college. I graduated from Fort Lewis College in business administration, and I was working in the business area. You know, it was 5-6 years that I was already working in the business world, and though I did it, and it was the only work I sort of knew, though I had worked in the college as mail clerk and everything, and I loved it. But this was my first professional sort of work. I was working. I worked at a multinational as a product manager. I worked in a radio station as a manager, administrative manager, and I also worked in a bank as an agency manager. And they were very fulfilling jobs in the sense of the economic reward, maybe. But I didn't feel that sensations of fulfillment inwardly. So, you know, I was doing my radio station on the side. The banking or the business world was in the middle, and I was doing the search, the soul search and meditation and Silva method, mind control, and all those things on the side. Suddenly, one day, something arrived in my hands. It was a magazine that put all the New Age things together, like you know, meditation and the music and alternative healing. It put it all together, and it just, everything came into perspective. And after this amazing experience, I decided to quit the business world and start studying alternative healing and hands-on healing. I really wanted to find out what happened to me. So when I went back to my country, I was still working in those days on the banking, and I looked for books on hands-on healing, and then I read them and reread them and started applying the hands-on healing on people, my neighbors, my friends, and observing what happened. I wish they would experience the same thing I did. But well, when they had headaches and I put the hands on, the headaches went away. And suddenly I said, oh my God, this is something I really want to delve into. So it took me a year to leave everything behind, change careers, and start a new life. I was by then, when I decided to leave for my new studies, I had turned 28. It was my Saturn Return. And it's amazing how this experience of merging with somebody else at a soul level was so decisive in how profoundly it touched me, that set me totally in another direction. And I'm very thankful for it, because he acted as a guardian angel for me. 17 years after this experience, I was able to thank him through a phone call that when I went for the third time to this place, I met a lady that was friends of his, and she allowed me a phone call, and I just told him that I was touched in my heart by many people, by touched in the soul only by him, and that it changed my life. And I was able to say thank you. Little things, you know, people that we only meet maybe once or twice. I saw him 4 times in my life for the 4th therapies, and he was the one that helped me change my whole life. Amazing. So beware of the intense encounters, little encounters you might have with somebody crossing on the street that can call your attention and be of a very important influence in your life, in the way you think, what you do, and the shifts that you can make. This is simply the first experience to the soul level that I can call, that I can mention, and that I can say it was just, there's nothing like feeling things from the soul. And there's so much that we can enjoy and live by learning to connect with that part of us. Thank you so much for sharing this experience, and I'll have more about all the kinds of experiences in the next video vlogs. You can put your comments or your questions on the space in the blog. There's the link in the description area for this video. There's a link to the blog where you can actually place your comments and questions, and also you can subscribe to our channel and as well to the blog, where we have some written articles and it's mostly videos. Thank you very much, and until then.